So I wanted to make this video to just sit here and have a conversation with people about NBA comparisons. And a lot of times, analysts and us as fans, and just people in general, we tend to put these lofty expectations onto a lot of these upcoming prospects, and we give them comparisons to some players that are just, I guess, for a lack of better words, it's hard for them to reach those expectations that we set onto them. And when I look at probably the last, I don't know, maybe out of the last 5 to 6 NBA drafts, I would say that there have been at least 3 comparisons to none other than Kevin Durant. Yeah, Kevin Durant. That seems to be the most common NBA comparison that we throw out there. You know, for a tall player who can shoot the ball, and if he has somewhat of dribble moves to him, then we compare him to Kevin Durant. And that's not to say that this player won't be able to score the ball at an elite clip in the NBA, but when we sit here and we compare him to Kevin Durant, that's putting a lot of expectation onto that individual, you know? And I'm pretty sure you can go onto YouTube, you can check out and just search the next and fill in the blank. There's videos on the next LeBron James, the next, I don't know, maybe Kawhi Leonard if they play defense good enough. But there's always been a video for tall, somewhat athletic scorers, and it goes into this is going to be the next Kevin Durant. And I just wanted to have the conversation in, are those expectations too lofty for these players? How does anybody else feel about that? You know, I remember a few years ago there was a video on YouTube, and it said that this kid was going to be the next Stephen Curry. And he could shoot, he had handles. He even kind of looked like Steph a little bit. He was light skinned. He was a good player for his age bracket. I don't know what happened to him, but those expectations, you know, with expectations comes just, I want to say, with expectations comes the weight of those expectations, and then it comes it comes the burden of living up to those expectations. You know, once we place expectations onto an individual and they don't live up to our expectations, now we sit here and classify them as a bust. We sit here and we classify those players as someone who didn't make it, or they aren't as good as we thought they were going to be. But a lot of times, it's not even the player themselves who didn't live up to the expectations. It's that our expectations of that player were so high to start off that we didn't let them flourish into what they could have been, what they could have truly grown into. That's something that I've noticed a lot. And just seeing it over the years, seeing all the Kevin Durant comparisons, and I just want to look back and just think, like, man, how many of those players have we gone on to say haven't lived up to those expectations? Thinking back at it, I remember when Brandon Ingram was coming out of college, and the one comparison that was stuck onto him was the next Kevin Durant. He's tall, he can shoot, he can get to the rack, he can score. He's going to be the next Kevin Durant. He has a nice slender build to him, so just look at him. He's KD 2.0. He's Kevin Durant. And for me, when looking at their games, Brandon Ingram is Brandon Ingram. KD is KD. I haven't seen anyone play as smoothly as Kevin Durant. I don't know. I can't even really pinpoint one individual whose game is as just silky smooth and just so fluid as Kevin Durant in such a long time. Um, KD is just one of a kind. And when comparing players to him, it it's kind of tough to sit here and have those players live up to those expectations. Now, it's not to say that Brandon Ingram is a bust or anything of that nature. Not in any way, shape, or form. But if you ask anyone today, is Brandon Ingram Kevin Durant? I don't think that they say that he is. Now, does he still have room to grow? Absolutely. Absolutely. I believe that he and Zion can do something pretty good down there in New Orleans. Um, but just looking at those expectations, and a lot of these that I'm getting them from I want to say NBA. Let me go to it right now. NBADraft.net. That's where a lot of the comparisons that I'm looking at are coming from. And there are quite a few people who were, you know, tagged in with being the next Kevin Durant. Jonathan Isaac was a shocker. He was compared to Kevin Durant coming out of Florida State as well. He was, which I don't see it. I don't see Kevin Durant within Jonathan Isaac besides they're both being tall players. I want to say he might have been compared to Kevin Durant and Rashard Lewis, which is a weird comparison. Then you have Michael Porter Jr., who was compared to Kevin Durant again. Kevin Durant and Joe Johnson. You know, and these are phenomenal young players that are in the league, but this goes to show you that the expectations that we place onto these players, it allows us to sit here and then classify them as a bust because our expectations were too high on them. And at some point, we have to sit here and say, you know, the comparisons are fun. Like, it's fun to compare. But at times, we can take the comparisons too far. We can take them too much to heart, which, in my opinion, kind of skews everything. One of the upcoming players that a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, know about, Imani Bates, out of Ypsilanti, Michigan. He's been tagged as the next Kevin Durant for years now. For years. And I was lucky enough to see him play in person while he was at Lincoln. And he has a very smooth game to him. He can score the ball. He can get to the rim. He can score at all three levels. And, you know, from watching the YouTube highlights and then actually going and sitting down at a game and seeing him play, I still wouldn't say that he's the next Kevin Durant, but you can sit here and say that he's going to be an elite player. You can make that statement, you know, and you can make the argument that he could be the next Kevin Durant. Hell, you could even make the argument that, hey, this kid might be better than Kevin Durant. This kid might be better than a lot of the talent that we have in the NBA. You can make that argument for a lot of these kids out here. And to piggyback on that comparison, while on NBADraft.net, I look at Chet Holmgren. I want to say that's how you say his last name, but I look at Chet, who's going to Gonzaga, and it's kind of funny. a few weeks ago, his comparison was Kevin Garnett. That was his NBA comparison. And now, after they updated their site, they do these updates every once in a while, and I guess update their comparisons. None other than his comparison now, Kevin Durant. That's the most common theme, is to see these kids being compared to Kevin Durant. And it also goes to show you how the game has changed and just what the NBA is looking for, you know. But a lot of these kids are being compared to Kevin Durant. And I look at it as Kevin Durant being a once in a generation talent, though. That's something right there. It's a lot of once in a generation talents going around. But another individual who a lot of people are starting to get compared to a lot now as well would be Kristaps Porzingis. That's another comparison that I've been seeing a lot of. If you're tall, you're foreign, and you can shoot, Kristaps Porzingis. Tall, foreign, and you can shoot, Kristaps Porzingis. That's another comparison that a lot of people have been getting, and I see a lot of that going around. And I wonder, what's going to be the next big thing? Who's going to be the next big thing to just take the league by storm? And a lot of people look at this guy is going to be who we model our game after. This is going to be the next comparison. I've even seen the comparison with a lot of people looking at Luka. If you're a wing and you can dribble and facilitate, these past 2 years, basically, you might be comparable to Luka. So Luka might be the next guy who is just flooding I want to say, the scouts and, the NBA draft experts with, this is who this kid is going to be like. It might be Luka. I don't know if we'll ever see another Steph. I don't know. Unless it comes from his bloodline, then I don't see us seeing another Stephen Curry, the greatest shooter of all time. I don't see us seeing another Stephen Curry. But it could be. You never know. But I just wanted to just have a quick conversation with everybody and just see how you guys felt about just a lot of these comparisons that are going around now. And a lot of them being compared to Kevin Durant. If you're tall, you can dribble, and you can shoot, you're Kevin Durant. Not to say you're going to beat him, but that's just where the comparison just goes straight to. It's your KD if you can do those things. And it's not an issue or anything, but it's just, I just want to know how everyone else feels about those type of comparisons, or how you feel about comparisons for NBA talent in general. The upcoming kids coming out of high school and college. How do you guys feel about those type of comparisons, or just comparisons in general? Leave a comment and let me know what you think about it.